Hello, today we are going to focus on direct and reported speech. Let's start by a situation in which we have a parrot and a little boy. The parrot said, "I can speak English." Later on, the little boy reports what he heard to his friends. He said that he could speak English. In this case, we have two statements with the same meaning but using different words. In the first one, we have a direct speech. In the second one, we have a reported speech or the indirect speech. So, what do we mean by direct and reported speech? The direct speech is the exact words someone said, and we use quotation marks. Whereas the reported speech is the exact meaning of what somebody said, but not the exact words. Let's have a look at some characteristics of reported speech. We do not use quotation marks in reported speech. The word that can either be used or omitted after the introductory verb say or tell. Introductory verb is also called reporting verb. Changes may have to be made to verb tenses, pronouns, and certain words indicating place and time. Those words otherwise are called expressions. Let's focus on introductory verbs tell and say, which are widely used while reporting, but they are different in structures. Tell is followed by a direct object. Example, he told me that she was having breakfast. Me is a direct object. Whereas say is not followed by a direct object, but by a clause instead. She said that she was having breakfast. That, in this case, is optional. But say is followed by an indirect object. He said to her that he was late for work. To her is an indirect object. Moreover, say is followed by to infinitive. Our teacher said to close the books. Said is followed by to infinitive in this case. There are two kinds of reporting: up-to-date reporting and out-of-date reporting. Up-to-date reporting is when we report someone's words a short time after they were said. The tenses in up-to-date reporting can either change or remain the same in reported speech. Direct speech. An example, Emily said, "I watched the volcano erupt." Watched is a verb in past simple. Reported speech. Emily said that she watched or had watched the volcano erupt. In this case, we can either use watched in past simple or had watched in past perfect, so the verb can either remain the same or change. Out-of-date reporting is when we report someone's words a long time after they were said. The introductory verb is in the past simple and the tenses change. Let's begin by reporting statements. While reporting statements, we have some changes as we mentioned before. There are changes made to verbs. The verb moves back one tense. There are changes in pronouns, in possessive adjectives as well. There are also changes to the words indicating place and time, otherwise called expressions of time and place. Let's start by the changes made to the verb, but the first change. As we see, we have some tenses which are in direct speech and the other ones which are reported. Okay, what we notice is the fact that these tenses have moved back one tense. Example, present simple has changed into past simple, present continuous, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, and so on and so forth. An example, direct speech. James said, "I was in the library yesterday." We have the verb was in past simple. Reported speech. James said that. In this case, that can either be used or omitted. In this case, I have put it into brackets. So James said he had been in the library the previous day. So in the first sentence, direct speech, we have past simple, whereas in reported speech, we have past perfect. So the tense has moved back one tense. As we will discuss later, there are also other changes as we see. There are changes in subject pronouns, I becomes he, and also in expressions of time, yesterday changes into the previous day. On the other hand, no changes are made in verb tense. When the reporting verb, so the verb say or tell, is in the present, future or present perfect. B. When reporting second and third conditional. C. The change is optional, so it can either change or stay the same when reporting a general truth or laws of nature. D. If the verb in the direct speech is in past perfect, or if it contains one of the following modal verbs: would, might, could, and ought to. Now we are going to focus on the second change. There are changes made to the pronouns. We have four types of pronouns: subject pronouns, object pronouns, possessive pronouns, and possessive adjectives. Let's have an example for the first two ones. Direct speech. I'm going to call you later, she said. In this case, we have I as a subject pronoun or personal pronoun. We have you as an object pronoun. Reported speech now. She said that she was going to call me later. As we see, there are changes in pronouns. I becomes she. So first person singular becomes third person singular. You, second person singular. The third change has to do Now we'll go on with reporting questions. Reported questions are usually introduced with the verbs ask, inquire, wonder, or the expression want to know. The word order is the same as that of a statement. The question marks are omitted as in reported statements. Expressions such as please, well, oh, etc. are omitted. The verb tenses, pronouns, possessive adjectives, and time expressions change as in statements. Now let's have a look at an example. Direct question. Can you tell me what time is it? She asked me. Reported question. She asked me if I could tell her what time it was. As we see, the reported question is introduced with one of the verbs that we mentioned before, ask. Then, the question marks are omitted, as we see. Moreover, there are changes in verb tenses and pronouns. Example, you have you, which in this case becomes I. Me becomes her. The verb is in present simple becomes was in past simple. And moreover, the word order changes. We have what time is it, so verb plus subject, whereas while it is reported, we have subject plus verb as in statements. When we discuss reported questions, we have to know that there are two types of questions. There are questions that start with the WH, and then there are also questions that we call yes-no questions. When a direct question begins with a question word, who, where, how, when, what, etc., The reported question is introduced with the same question word. Direct question. When are you going to school? He asked. In this case, the direct question is introduced with a question word. Reported question. He asked when I was going to school. As we see, the question word when in this case is used again in reported question. Okay, let's have a look at the changes that occur while changing from direct question into reported question. Are going is a verb in present continuous. Then it changes into past continuous while being reported. The word order has also changed. We have in this case are, which is an auxiliary verb, you, subject, going is a verb to go, which is the main verb. Then we have I was going. We have subject and a verb, as in statements. When the direct question begins with an auxiliary verb, auxiliary verbs are be, do, and have, or a modal verb, can, may, etc., then the reported speech is introduced with if or whether. Direct question. Have you finished the project yet? She inquired. In this case, the direct question starts with an auxiliary verb, with the verb have. Reported question. She inquired if I had finished the project yet. As we see, if the direct question starts with an auxiliary verb, then, while it is reported, we use if. We don't use the same auxiliary verb in this case, but we use if, and then have finished, which is in present perfect, changes into past perfect, had finished. You changes into I. And this reported question is introduced with inquired, with the verb inquire. The last one to be discussed is reporting commands, requests, suggestions, and orders. Reported commands, requests, suggestions are introduced with special introductory verbs such as advise, ask, beg, suggest, followed by these ones, this structure, to infinitive, ing form, or that clause, depending on the introductory verb. That means that if I am using a special introductory verb, we should be careful in using this structure because it might be followed either by to infinitive, ing form, or that clause. Let's have a look at an example. Let's go to the cinema, she said. And the reported one is, she suggested going to the cinema. In this case, I am using a special introductory verb which follows this structure, the ing form. So we have suggest plus ing form. Another example, you had better finish the project before Tuesday, he said. And the reported one is, he suggested that I should finish the project before Tuesday. The verb suggest, as well as the verb remind, are followed either by ing or by that clause. In order to report orders or instructions, we use the verbs order or tell plus somebody plus not plus to infinitive. As we see, not is put into brackets because we can either use it when we have a negative command or omit it, or we don't use it when we have a positive command. Let's have a direct order. Don't go close to the fire. This is a negative command. She told her. Reported order. She told her not to go close to the fire. So we put not to before the verb go. And the structure is tell somebody plus not plus to infinitive. Let's go on with positive order, direct order. Stay calm, she ordered me. In this case, we are going to use another verb that expresses order. Report order. She ordered me to stay calm. So we use the infinitive before the verb stay. And the structure is order plus somebody plus to infinitive.